Time is the one resource you can never get back, and how you use it determines the life you build. This video reveals practical, life-changing strategies to spend your time wisely, boost productivity, and achieve success through actionable daily habits. Learn how to prioritize, eliminate distractions, and turn spare moments into growth opportunities for lasting impact. Subscribe to Everyday Audiobook for more transformative content, because every day is a chance to grow smarter, stronger, and more focused, and we provide the tools and insights to help you make it happen. Number 1. Design daily priorities with intention. Every morning before the noise of the world rushes in, lies a moment of profound opportunity, the chance to decide how the day will unfold. The way this moment is approached determines more than just what gets done. It shapes the trajectory of your life. Designing daily priorities with intention is not about filling every minute with activity. It's about aligning each action with the outcomes you truly value, the goals that matter, and the person you are striving to become. Time, once spent, cannot be reclaimed, and this truth makes intentionality not just a habit, but a necessity. Intentional prioritization begins with clarity. It requires you to ask yourself, with unflinching honesty, what is most important today, this week, this month, and ultimately, in the arc of your life. Without this clarity, days can slip away in a blur of tasks that seem urgent, but hold little weight in the grander scheme. One of the most effective tools for clarity is the simple act of listing your goals. Begin with the long-term vision, the life you are building, the values you uphold, the legacy you hope to leave. Once this is clear, translate it into the concrete steps that must be taken daily. Each priority should serve as a bridge between today's actions and tomorrow's ambitions. Designing priorities with intention also requires a deep understanding of the difference between urgent and important. Urgent tasks scream for attention. They are loud, immediate, and often exhausting. Important tasks, on the other hand, build momentum toward meaningful achievements. They shape skill, character, and results. The danger lies in mistaking urgency for significance. Responding only to what shouts at you ensures constant busyness, but no real progress. Prioritization demands discipline to rise above the noise, to focus energy on actions that contribute to long-term growth. Creating a hierarchy of tasks is essential. At the top should be the few actions that will move the needle in your life. Everything else is secondary, distractions that can either be delegated, delayed, or discarded. Intentional prioritization is not just about planning, it's about protecting the focus required to execute that plan. The modern world is filled with distractions designed to fragment attention: notifications, endless emails, social media, and the constant pull of other people's demands. Guarding your time is as important as choosing your priorities. This might mean setting strict boundaries around when and how you interact with others, turning off digital interruptions, or designating blocks of time where no one can intrude. Treat these blocks as sacred, as if they were appointments with your future self, because in many ways they are. The process of designing your daily priorities is both reflective and proactive. Start each day with a quiet moment to identify the 3 to 5 tasks that will make the most impact. These are your non-negotiables. Write them down, place them where they cannot be ignored. There is a psychological power in seeing your priorities on paper. It transforms abstract intentions into tangible commitments. As the day progresses, allow these priorities to guide decisions, large and small. Every choice should be measured against whether it serves these key actions. This is how intentionality moves from thought to practice, from a fleeting idea to a disciplined lifestyle. Real-world application of intentional prioritization often involves saying no repeatedly. Saying no is a form of self-respect and a recognition that time is finite. Each yes to a distraction or minor task is a silent no to your own growth. Learning to navigate requests, invitations, and obligations without guilt is crucial. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. It is managing the one resource more precious than money or influence, your time. By consciously choosing where your attention goes, you harness the power to shape outcomes rather than react to circumstances. A key component of this approach is alignment with natural energy cycles. Each person has periods of peak focus, creativity, and energy during the day. Scheduling your highest value tasks during these periods ensures that your priorities receive the attention they deserve. This requires awareness and experimentation, noticing when your mind is sharpest, when distractions are least tempting, and when execution feels effortless. Leveraging these rhythms amplifies productivity without sacrificing quality or mental well-being. Intentional prioritization is as much about understanding yourself as it is about structuring tasks. In addition, prioritization benefits greatly from continuous evaluation. At the end of each day, reflect on what was achieved, what could have been done differently, and which tasks had the most meaningful impact. This reflection transforms experience into insight, allowing for constant refinement of how priorities are chosen and pursued. Over time, this practice builds a heightened sense of discernment, the ability to instinctively recognize which actions will yield real progress and which are merely noise. It trains the mind to focus on what matters most, creating a compounding effect on personal and professional growth. Intentional prioritization also fosters resilience. When priorities are clear, distractions and setbacks become less daunting. Obstacles are encountered not with panic or frustration, but with a steady focus on what truly matters. The ability to return to your key actions, no matter what interruptions arise, strengthens both discipline and confidence. This approach cultivates a mindset that is proactive rather than reactive, empowering you to navigate challenges without losing sight of your ultimate goals. Furthermore, designing priorities with intention encourages balance. Life is multifaceted, and while professional or financial goals may dominate, personal well-being, relationships, and self-development are equally vital. Intentionality ensures that these dimensions are not neglected. By deliberately allocating time for exercise, reflection, connection, and rest, you prevent the trap of achievement without fulfillment. True success is holistic, and intentional prioritization helps maintain equilibrium between ambition and contentment. To make this practice actionable, consider creating a daily priority framework. Begin with a morning review of your long-term goals. Identify 3 key tasks for the day that advance these objectives. Assign time blocks in your schedule to focus on these tasks without interruption. Eliminate or defer anything that does not align with these priorities. At the end of the day, review progress, celebrate achievements, and note lessons learned. This simple cycle, repeated consistently, transforms chaos into clarity, distraction into purpose, and time into meaningful progress. In essence, designing daily priorities with intention is an exercise in mastery over self and circumstance. It is a commitment to live deliberately, to treat time as the non-renewable resource it is, and to ensure that each day contributes to the life you are building. By choosing what to focus on, guarding against distractions, aligning tasks with energy levels, and reflecting continuously, you cultivate a life marked by purpose, efficiency, and growth. The compounding effect of such disciplined focus is profound. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years, all shaped by the consistent, deliberate choices made in the quiet moments of the morning. Ultimately, the art of intentional prioritization is a declaration of agency. It is the acknowledgement that while circumstances cannot always be controlled, the use of time can. It is a strategy for transforming busyness into achievement, chaos into clarity, and potential into reality. Living with intention requires courage, clarity, and discipline, but it is the path to lasting success. Each day becomes a canvas on which you paint your future. Every priority chosen with purpose is a brushstroke toward the life you desire, and over time, these small intentional acts accumulate, shaping a life of excellence, fulfillment, and unshakable progress. Designing daily priorities with intention is not a one-time effort, it is a lifelong practice. But in its consistent application lies the secret to mastery over time, the gateway to achieving your most important goals, and the foundation upon which success is built. Those who embrace it do not merely survive each day, they direct it, harness it, and transform it into a powerful instrument for growth and achievement. The life of purpose, clarity, and accomplishment is never accidental. It is meticulously constructed, one intentional priority at a time. This discipline is not merely for the ambitious, it is for anyone who wishes to live a life of meaning. Each deliberate choice, each prioritized action is a step toward a future defined not by circumstance, but by conscious design. Intentional prioritization turns the abstract concept of time into a tangible, actionable force. It equips you to face the day with focus, courage, and clarity, ensuring that every action taken is a contribution to a life well lived, a legacy thoughtfully created, and a success intentionally earned. Number 2. Eliminate distractions that steal focus. Every person who achieves meaningful success understands one universal truth. Focus is far more valuable than time itself. The hours you possess mean little if your attention is scattered, pulled in multiple directions by interruptions, habits, and digital noise. Distractions are subtle thieves. They do not announce themselves loudly, but they siphon energy, fragment thinking, and silently delay progress. The ability to eliminate distractions is not merely a productivity hack, it is a cornerstone of mastery, self-discipline, and the deliberate life. The first step in eliminating distractions is awareness. Most distractions operate unconsciously. Social media, email notifications, unplanned conversations, and random errands can all slip into the day unnoticed, consuming energy meant for high-priority tasks. Becoming aware of these patterns requires deliberate observation, tracking how attention shifts throughout the day, noting when focus falters, and identifying triggers that pull you away from important work creates a blueprint for action. Awareness transforms vague frustration into actionable knowledge. Once distractions are recognized, the next step is containment. Physical and digital environments exert enormous influence on focus. Cluttered spaces, open tabs on a browser, or notifications buzzing in the background constantly compete for mental energy. By restructuring your environment, you regain control over where attention flows. Simple adjustments, such as clearing the workspace, silencing unnecessary alerts, and creating dedicated areas for specific tasks, act as safeguards against wandering attention. Designing your surroundings to support focus is not optional. It is a decisive strategy for efficiency. Distractions are not always external. They often arise internally. Wandering thoughts, indecision, and self-doubt can divert attention from the task at hand. Mindfulness and mental discipline become essential tools. Practices such as meditation, journaling, or even brief periods of reflection before starting work strengthen the mind's ability to resist internal distractions. When the mind is trained to notice unproductive thoughts without succumbing to them, focus becomes a natural state rather than a constant struggle. Time blocking is a powerful method to protect attention. Assigning dedicated blocks of time for specific tasks creates mental boundaries that discourage interruption. These periods should be treated as inviolable agreements with yourself. Even short bursts of uninterrupted focus, when multiplied over a week or a month, yield profound results. The key is consistency. Over time, the brain adapts to these blocks, and deep work becomes the default mode, producing outcomes that scattered effort could never achieve. Managing external expectations is equally critical. People often underestimate how much of their attention is hijacked by obligations imposed by others. Learning to communicate boundaries clearly, politely, but firmly ensures that the time allocated for high-priority work is respected. Declining unnecessary meetings, postponing non-essential tasks, or simply designating periods as focus time sends a clear message. Your attention is valuable, and it will not be fragmented without reason. The digital age has magnified distractions in unprecedented ways. Notifications, social media feeds, and instant messaging bombard the mind with constant stimuli, making deep concentration rare. Addressing this requires intentional strategies, turning off non-essential notifications, limiting access to time-consuming apps, and using technology to reinforce focus rather than disrupt it. Digital minimalism is not a sacrifice, it is an investment in mental clarity and productive energy. Tools and apps designed to block distractions, silence alerts, or restrict usage are allies in this process. Another key element is task prioritization in conjunction with distraction management. Focus naturally drifts when the mind is uncertain about what to do next. Clearly defining the most important action before starting prevents attention from wandering. When tasks are ambiguous or overwhelming, distraction provides an escape, breaking work into precise, actionable steps, and committing to one step at a time strengthens focus and reduces the temptation to shift attention toward less meaningful activities. Distractions are not always avoidable, but resilience and recovery determine their ultimate impact. Interruptions will occur, but the measure of discipline is how quickly attention is redirected. Establishing rituals for regaining focus, such as deep breathing, reviewing the task at hand, or a brief pause to reset prevents small interruptions from derailing progress. Each time focus is reclaimed after a distraction, mental discipline grows stronger, creating a feedback loop of increased control over attention. Emotional and psychological triggers often compound distractions. Fatigue, stress, or lack of clarity make the mind more vulnerable to diversion. Addressing these underlying conditions is essential. Adequate rest, regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and reflection all contribute to a mind that resists distraction naturally. Distractions are harder to combat when energy is low or stress is high. Optimizing physical and mental well-being strengthens the foundation upon which focus is built. Intentional sequencing of tasks also plays a role. Starting the day with high-impact, demanding tasks ensures that attention is invested where it matters most. Leaving menial or reactive work for later in the day, when mental energy wanes, preserves peak focus for what is truly important. This approach leverages natural energy rhythms, reducing the likelihood of succumbing to distraction during crucial moments. Eliminating distractions cultivates presence and immersion. When attention is undivided, every task becomes richer, learning deeper, and performance sharper. This state, often called flow, cannot exist amidst constant interruptions. Prioritizing focus above busyness transforms ordinary effort into mastery. Each uninterrupted session strengthens skill, understanding, and capability, building momentum toward long-term success. Distraction management also intersects with self-respect. By refusing to allow trivial diversions to control your day, a sense of agency develops. Life becomes a series of deliberate choices rather than a reaction to chaos. Each act of focus reinforces confidence and a belief in the ability to shape outcomes. Over time, this discipline becomes a defining characteristic, attracting opportunity, respect, and results. Social relationships, while valuable, can also fragment attention if left unchecked. Setting clear expectations for availability, explaining boundaries, and designating periods for deep work ensures that relationships do not inadvertently compromise focus. Balance does not mean complete isolation. It means deliberate engagement at the right time. Prioritizing focus does not diminish care or connection. It ensures that engagement is purposeful and meaningful. The cumulative effect of distraction-free focus is profound. Small, consistent efforts, magnified over weeks and months, compound into remarkable results. A single hour of uninterrupted work on a meaningful project often exceeds multiple hours of fragmented activity. Eliminating distractions magnifies every action, transforming potential into measurable achievement. Finally, eliminating distractions is a lifelong commitment. Habits, environments, and technologies evolve, and so must strategies for maintaining focus. Continuous evaluation, adaptation, and vigilance ensure that attention remains aligned with priorities. Mastery over distractions is a mastery over life itself. Each moment preserved from unnecessary diversion is an investment in clarity, accomplishment, and self-mastery. The practice of eliminating distractions shapes not just productivity but character. It cultivates patience, resilience, and intentionality. It transforms the way time is experienced, allowing for deeper engagement, greater satisfaction, and higher quality outcomes. Focus becomes a tangible asset, a tool to craft the life you envision. In the absence of distraction, purpose emerges, creativity thrives, and progress accelerates. Distractions are inevitable, but surrendering to them is a choice. By creating environments that protect attention, establishing routines that prioritize deep work, guarding mental energy, and continuously refining focus strategies, it is possible to reclaim control over every day. Eliminating distractions is more than a habit, it is an act of empowerment. Each conscious effort to preserve attention is a declaration: your time and focus belong to you. They will serve your highest goals. Mastery over distractions turns fleeting hours into a relentless engine of growth. It transforms intention into execution, energy into results, and potential into accomplishment. Life, when undistracted, becomes a canvas for achievement, learning, and fulfillment. By eliminating what steals focus, every day becomes an opportunity to move closer to the life you envision, ensuring that progress is steady, deliberate, and unstoppable. Number 3. Master scheduling through disciplined planning. Success does not emerge from randomness, it arises from structure, from a deliberate approach to how every moment is allocated. Mastering scheduling through disciplined planning is the bridge between ambition and achievement. Without a system to manage time, even the most talented and determined individuals can find themselves overwhelmed, reactive, and drifting from one unfinished task to another. Planning is not simply creating a list of tasks, it is a strategic orchestration of energy, priorities, and opportunity that transforms intention into tangible results. Effective scheduling begins with understanding the landscape of your responsibilities and aspirations. It requires a clear inventory of commitments, projects, and long-term goals. Each day contains hours that can either be squandered or harnessed for meaningful progress. Disciplined planning ensures that these hours are not left to chance. Writing down tasks is the first step, but it is the deliberate sequencing and timing of these tasks that turns a simple list into a blueprint for achievement. Scheduling without thought produces a calendar filled with activity. Scheduling with purpose produces measurable progress toward what truly matters. One of the foundational principles of disciplined scheduling is aligning tasks with natural energy cycles. Humans do not operate at a uniform level of focus or creativity throughout the day. There are peaks when complex, demanding work can be accomplished efficiently, and valleys when attention wanes. Recognizing these patterns allows for a schedule that capitalizes on high-energy periods for high-priority work, while reserving less critical tasks for times of reduced cognitive power. This alignment magnifies output without increasing stress, transforming the day into a sequence of strategically positioned accomplishments. Another essential aspect of mastering scheduling is the principle of time blocking. Assigning fixed periods for specific types of work prevents the fragmentation of attention and ensures that priorities are addressed consistently. Deep work, administrative tasks, reflection, and personal growth each demand dedicated space on the calendar. By treating time as a finite, non-negotiable resource, each block becomes a commitment that guards against procrastination and distraction. The discipline lies in honoring these allocations, resisting the temptation to multitask, and fully immersing in the activity assigned to each segment of the day. Disciplined planning also involves contingency management. Life is unpredictable and interruptions are inevitable. A flexible schedule anticipates these disruptions, incorporating buffer periods and adjusting priorities dynamically, without losing sight of critical outcomes. Planning is not rigid, it is adaptive. A well-constructed schedule balances structure and flexibility, allowing for unforeseen events while maintaining momentum toward long-term objectives. This balance transforms unexpected challenges from obstacles into manageable deviations that do not derail overall progress. Clarity of priorities underpins every successful schedule. Tasks should not be treated equally. They must be evaluated according to importance and urgency. A disciplined planner distinguishes between work that generates meaningful impact and work that merely creates the illusion of productivity. High-value activities are placed in the schedule first, ensuring that energy is devoted to actions that contribute to goals, skill development, and growth. Low-value or reactive tasks are either deferred, delegated, or eliminated, preserving the focus necessary for advancement. Consistency is another hallmark of effective scheduling. Discipline is reinforced through repetition. Establishing routines around core priorities creates momentum and reduces decision fatigue. When a pattern is established, morning planning, midday reflection, evening review, time is used efficiently, and the mind develops confidence in the rhythm of the day. Habits formed within a structured schedule are self-reinforcing. They turn planning from an external activity into an internalized system of operation, making productivity a natural outcome rather than a forced effort. The mental clarity derived from disciplined planning cannot be overstated. Knowing what to do and when to do it eliminates uncertainty, reduces anxiety, and minimizes wasted time. A well-structured schedule acts as a map in a complex landscape, guiding attention and energy with precision. When the mind is free from indecision, creativity flourishes and execution becomes fluid. Every task is approached with purpose, not hesitation, and momentum accumulates naturally, producing results far beyond the sum of individual efforts. Technology, when leveraged intelligently, can enhance scheduling. Digital calendars, reminders, and planning tools provide visibility, tracking and accountability. Alerts, color coding, and integration between personal and professional commitments ensure that no essential task is overlooked. However, technology is a tool, not a substitute for disciplined thought. The core of effective scheduling is human judgment, the ability to weigh priorities, anticipate challenges, and structure time with foresight. Tools enhance execution, but cannot replace deliberate planning. Mastering scheduling also requires regular reflection and adjustment. At the end of each day, reviewing accomplishments, challenges, and time usage provides insight into what worked and what did not. This continuous feedback loop allows for refinement, ensuring that each day builds on the last. Scheduling is a dynamic process, not a static prescription. Adaptation strengthens discipline, promotes efficiency, and transforms learning into measurable improvement over time. Effective scheduling is intertwined with self-respect and accountability. Treating scheduled commitments as binding agreements with oneself reinforces integrity and confidence. Each successfully executed task reinforces the belief that goals are achievable, that time is manageable, and that deliberate effort produces results. Conversely, failing to honor planned periods erodes confidence and disrupts momentum. Discipline in scheduling is therefore both a practical and psychological framework, shaping both behavior and mindset. Another critical component is the integration of personal and professional priorities. A schedule that ignores health, rest, and personal growth is incomplete. Disciplined planning incorporates all aspects of life, ensuring sustainable performance and holistic progress. Exercise, reflection, skill development, and meaningful connection receive intentional time, preventing burnout and promoting a life of balance alongside achievement. Scheduling is not merely about work, it is a comprehensive approach to living purposefully. Breaking large projects into actionable steps is a practical extension of disciplined planning. Long-term objectives can overwhelm if not decomposed into manageable tasks. Scheduling these smaller actions ensures that momentum is maintained, progress is visible, and large goals do not remain abstract aspirations. This granular approach converts vision into tangible achievements, providing motivation, clarity, and measurable success. Time audits are another powerful technique in mastering scheduling. Periodically examining how time is spent highlights inefficiencies, reveals hidden distractions, and exposes opportunities for optimization. This process of evaluation strengthens self-awareness and informs adjustments to the schedule, creating a cycle of continuous improvement. The disciplined planner uses time audits as a tool to refine both strategy and execution, aligning daily actions ever closer to desired outcomes. Finally, mastering scheduling through disciplined planning cultivates a mindset of proactive control over life. Instead of being swept along by circumstance, the individual directs energy and attention with precision. Each day is no longer a random series of events, but a carefully orchestrated sequence of actions designed to produce maximum impact. Discipline transforms scheduling from a mechanical exercise into a strategic framework that accelerates growth, nurtures focus, and transforms potential into measurable success. Through disciplined planning, time evolves from a passive backdrop into a powerful instrument. Every scheduled task, every allocated block, every intentional pause contributes to a trajectory of achievement that compounds over weeks, months, and years. Mastery of scheduling is not simply about efficiency, it is about shaping the life one desires, achieving goals with clarity, and maintaining momentum in the face of complexity and unpredictability. The consistent application of this principle ensures that every day is a step toward meaningful progress. Every hour invested returns exponential dividends in growth, accomplishment, and fulfillment. A life governed by disciplined scheduling is one where intention governs action, clarity directs effort, and focus produces results. It transforms chaos into order, indecision into strategy, and ambition into achievement. By committing to deliberate planning, respecting time as a finite and sacred resource, and continuously refining methods, It is possible to turn every day into a platform for meaningful progress and every action into a building block for long-term success. Number 4, break goals into manageable actions. Ambitious goals can feel overwhelming. When faced with a vision that seems distant or monumental, it is easy to become paralyzed, unsure of where to start, and tempted to postpone action indefinitely. The key to transforming any aspiration into reality is breaking it down into manageable actions. Large objectives are achieved not by sudden bursts of effort, but by consistent, deliberate steps that accumulate over time. Each small action becomes a building block, a tangible measure of progress, and a source of motivation to continue moving forward. The first step in this process is clarity. A goal must be fully understood before it can be broken into actionable steps. Vague intentions, such as improve my career or get fit, lack the specificity needed to guide action. Concrete goals, expressed in precise terms with measurable outcomes, provide a foundation on which small, deliberate steps can be built. For example, instead of saying, "I want to write a book," one might define it as, "I will write a 60,000-word book in 6 months, completing 2,500 words each week." Clarity transforms abstract dreams into objectives that can be dissected into achievable tasks. Once a goal is clearly defined, it is important to identify the key milestones that mark progress along the way. Milestones are checkpoints that provide both direction and motivation. They allow the large goal to be divided into stages, each of which is achievable within a reasonable time frame. Milestones create a sense of movement and prevent the sense of being lost in an intimidating, overarching objective. Each milestone achieved produces momentum and reinforces confidence, creating a feedback loop that propels continued action. Breaking goals into manageable actions requires careful consideration of sequence. Some steps naturally depend on the completion of others. Mapping these dependencies prevents wasted effort and ensures that progress is logical and structured. Understanding which actions are prerequisites for others minimizes frustration and increases efficiency. Planning tasks in a sequential order transforms a large, amorphous goal into a clear roadmap that can be followed day by day, week by week, without confusion or misdirection. Another critical principle is chunking. Humans perform best when work is divided into small, digestible pieces. Attempting to tackle too much at once leads to mental fatigue and reduced effectiveness. Chunking complex tasks into brief, focused actions preserves energy, allows for sustained concentration, and ensures a higher quality of execution. Even when goals are ambitious, approaching them through small, consistent steps creates an achievable rhythm of progress. Each manageable action should have a defined outcome and time frame. Ambiguity in tasks invites procrastination. A step without a clear endpoint or deadline is likely to be postponed indefinitely. By specifying what constitutes completion and when it must be achieved, accountability is built into the process. This transforms abstract intention into a measurable, actionable plan that can be evaluated regularly, reinforcing both discipline and clarity. Prioritization plays a vital role in this framework. Not all actions contribute equally to progress. Identifying which steps produce the greatest impact ensures that energy is directed efficiently. Some actions, while minor in appearance, can have cascading effects, accelerating overall achievement. Focusing on high-leverage activities prevents wasted effort and ensures that progress is both meaningful and measurable. Each decision about what action to take should be informed by its contribution to the larger goal. Consistency is more important than intensity. Small actions repeated daily or weekly accumulate faster than sporadic bursts of energy. By committing to incremental progress, Even when motivation fluctuates, momentum is sustained. The compounding effect of these deliberate actions is immense. What seems insignificant in isolation becomes transformative over time. Persistence, therefore, is a critical component of achieving large goals, and breaking tasks into manageable steps makes this persistence feasible. Reflection and adjustment are essential throughout the process. Not every step will proceed perfectly, and circumstances will change. Regular evaluation of progress allows for refinement of the action plan. By assessing what works, what slows progress, and where resources are best applied, the plan becomes a living document, adaptable to both success and challenge. Flexibility ensures that the pursuit of a goal remains efficient and aligned with reality, rather than rigidly following a path that may no longer serve its purpose. Visualization and mental rehearsal enhance the effectiveness of breaking goals into actions. Envisioning the steps necessary to reach a goal and mentally walking through their execution strengthens both planning and execution. This mental preparation reduces hesitation, increases clarity, and reinforces commitment. It allows the mind to anticipate challenges and prepare strategies for overcoming them, making the execution of each action more deliberate and confident. Creating a tangible system to track progress solidifies action into habit. Checklists, project boards, journals, or digital tools allow every completed step to be recorded and celebrated. Visibility of progress reinforces motivation, provides feedback, and offers insight into how each small action contributes to the overall goal. Tracking is not merely administrative, it is a psychological mechanism that sustains engagement, builds confidence, and converts abstract ambition into visible, measurable achievement. Breaking goals into manageable actions also reduces the emotional weight of challenges. Large goals often feel daunting because the brain fixates on the scale of the undertaking rather than the path forward. When divided into small, actionable steps, the mind perceives the goal as attainable. Anxiety diminishes, confidence grows, and the energy previously drained by overwhelm is redirected toward focused execution. The journey transforms from an intimidating climb into a series of achievable ascents. Integration into daily life is critical. Goals cannot exist in isolation from routines and responsibilities. Each manageable action must be scheduled and incorporated into the day-to-day, ensuring that progress is continuous rather than sporadic. This requires both planning and discipline. When daily habits align with incremental steps toward larger objectives, even the most ambitious goals become achievable. Consistency, structure, and deliberate action converge to turn aspiration into reality. Accountability amplifies effectiveness. Sharing progress with a mentor, coach, or peer adds a layer of commitment. Knowing that others are observing or expecting updates strengthens adherence to the action plan. Accountability does not replace intrinsic motivation, but complements it, reinforcing the importance of each step and the consequences of inaction. Combined with reflection, it creates a system that ensures momentum is maintained, even during periods of low self-motivation. Finally, breaking goals into manageable actions cultivates resilience and adaptability. Obstacles will arise, setbacks will occur, but a goal decomposed into actionable steps allows for recalibration without abandoning the overall objective. Each small action becomes a point of stability, an anchor in turbulent circumstances, providing continuity and focus even when external conditions are challenging. This approach nurtures perseverance, reinforcing the belief that progress is always possible through deliberate effort. The process of decomposition transforms goals from distant, intimidating visions into tangible, actionable realities. It converts overwhelming ambition into a structured plan, reduces psychological resistance, and provides a clear roadmap for consistent achievement. Each step completed is both progress and reinforcement, feeding motivation, enhancing skill, and maintaining alignment with larger objectives. Success emerges not from the grandeur of ideas, but from the disciplined execution of small, deliberate actions. Breaking goals into manageable steps is the mechanism that bridges vision and reality, transforming aspiration into accomplishment. Over time, the accumulation of these purposeful steps produces results that feel exponential in their impact. The strategy ensures that no goal is too large, no vision too daunting, and no ambition beyond reach when approached systematically, thoughtfully, and with unwavering commitment to incremental progress. By consistently applying this principle, every goal becomes actionable, every day a step forward, and every moment an opportunity to move closer to achievement. The power lies not in occasional brilliance, but in persistent, deliberate execution. Breaking goals into manageable actions transforms overwhelming ambition into a structured, achievable path, turning potential into reality and establishing a framework for lasting success. Number 5. Track progress to stay accountable. Achievement is rarely the result of isolated effort. It is the product of sustained, deliberate action, guided by feedback. Tracking progress is not simply an exercise in record-keeping. It is a disciplined practice that cultivates accountability, sharpens focus, and accelerates results. Without measuring advancement, it is impossible to determine whether efforts are effective or misaligned. Goals left unmonitored become abstract aspirations, and intentions risk dissolving into passivity. Accountability, reinforced through consistent tracking, transforms effort into measurable progress and intention into tangible success. The first element in tracking progress is establishing clear, measurable indicators. Every objective, whether professional, personal, or physical, must have defined markers that signal advancement. Ambiguity invites procrastination and fosters uncertainty about whether progress is occurring. For instance, if the goal is to build strength, measuring performance by the weight lifted or repetitions completed provides concrete evidence of improvement. Similarly, career goals can be tracked by completed projects, revenue growth, or skills acquired. Clear metrics provide both orientation and motivation, allowing the individual to see how each effort contributes to the larger vision. Consistency in recording these metrics is crucial. Sporadic monitoring creates gaps in insight and diminishes accountability. Daily or weekly documentation ensures that trends are observed, patterns understood, and decisions informed. By making tracking habitual, each day's effort becomes meaningful, and even small increments are recognized as part of a cumulative trajectory. Over time, this consistency not only reflects progress, but reinforces discipline, turning observation into a structured, empowering routine. Progress tracking serves as a mirror, revealing both strengths and areas requiring improvement. Without feedback, it is impossible to know whether strategies are effective or whether resources are being applied efficiently. Regular reflection on tracked results exposes inefficiencies and identifies opportunities for optimization. This insight allows the refinement of methods, ensuring that subsequent efforts are more deliberate and effective. Accountability is not merely external, it begins with honest assessment of one's own performance. A critical aspect of tracking progress is breaking down goals into quantifiable components. Large objectives can be daunting, and without segmentation, the mind struggles to perceive meaningful advancement. By monitoring smaller, incremental steps, momentum is created and sustained. Each completed step is a tangible achievement that reinforces motivation, builds confidence, and encourages the continuation of effort. Small wins accumulate, producing a compounding effect that transforms long-term goals into achievable realities. Visual representation amplifies the effectiveness of tracking. Charts, graphs, progress bars, or checklists provide immediate, intuitive understanding of performance. Seeing advancement visually is psychologically powerful, reinforcing the sense of accomplishment and encouraging continued effort. This visibility transforms abstract goals into concrete progress, making each step rewarding and reinforcing the habit of disciplined pursuit. Accountability is strengthened when progress is shared with others. Collaboration, mentorship, or even informal reporting to peers increases commitment. Social accountability introduces a level of responsibility that extends beyond self-perception. Knowing that progress is observable or will be reviewed fosters adherence to plans and enhances perseverance, especially when motivation fluctuates. External awareness of progress is a catalyst that strengthens internal discipline. Tracking progress also prevents complacency. Without evidence of advancement, it is easy to misjudge productivity, assuming that effort automatically equates to results. Monitoring outcomes distinguishes meaningful work from activity, highlighting whether actions are moving the needle or merely consuming time. This clarity ensures that energy is directed strategically, reinforcing the principle that effort alone is insufficient without alignment to goals. Reflection is an integral part of progress tracking. Reviewing what has been accomplished, analyzing successes and setbacks, and adjusting future steps creates a cycle of continuous improvement. Reflection transforms data into insight, enabling more precise planning and smarter execution. Each review sharpens judgment, clarifies priorities, and refines strategies, ensuring that progress is not accidental but intentional, and that accountability becomes a dynamic, evolving practice rather than a static record. Integrating progress tracking into daily life reinforces discipline. Journaling, digital logs, habit trackers, or task boards are all methods that embed accountability into routine. The act of recording achievements, noting obstacles, and observing trends fosters mindfulness about how time and energy are spent. It promotes conscious engagement with tasks rather than passive drift, aligning daily behavior with long-term objectives. Tracking creates a rhythm of reflection, planning, and execution that reinforces personal responsibility. Tracking progress is also a tool for sustaining motivation. Achievements, even incremental, produce measurable reinforcement that combats discouragement. Seeing advancement provides evidence that effort produces results, maintaining momentum during periods of challenge or fatigue. Motivation is not constant, but progress tracking offers tangible proof that the pursuit is worthwhile, transforming perseverance from a matter of willpower alone into a system reinforced by observable outcomes. Strategic tracking involves identifying both leading and lagging indicators. Leading indicators measure activities that directly influence results, while lagging indicators reflect the outcomes themselves. Monitoring both types ensures a comprehensive understanding of performance, providing early warning signs when adjustments are necessary and confirming that goals are being achieved. This dual approach enables proactive management of effort, maximizing effectiveness while maintaining accountability. Accountability is further enhanced by linking progress tracking to tangible rewards or consequences. Recognizing achievements, celebrating milestones, or instituting penalties for missed targets reinforces the importance of adherence. These mechanisms transform abstract responsibility into structured reinforcement, encouraging continued commitment and providing motivation for disciplined execution. When progress is visible and tied to meaningful outcomes, accountability becomes a powerful driver of consistent effort. Progress tracking also strengthens resilience. Setbacks are inevitable, but documented evidence of past achievements reminds the individual that recovery and growth are possible. When challenges arise, reviewing progress reinforces confidence, reminding one of capability and prior success. This perspective transforms obstacles into temporary deviations rather than permanent failures, maintaining momentum and reinforcing the principle that sustained effort produces eventual results. Another dimension of tracking progress is its ability to reveal trends and patterns that inform strategy. By examining historical data, one can identify periods of high performance, recurring difficulties, or environmental factors that influence outcomes. This insight allows for smarter planning, optimized scheduling, and more effective decision-making. Accountability is amplified when actions are based on evidence rather than assumption, making each step toward a goal more deliberate and impactful. Tracking progress cultivates self-discipline by embedding a habit of reflection and evaluation into daily practice. It transforms abstract goals into concrete steps, provides feedback on execution, and reinforces responsibility for outcomes. Each recorded action, milestone achieved, and lesson learned strengthens the alignment between effort and result, ensuring that energy is applied efficiently and that time invested produces meaningful returns. Ultimately, tracking progress is about taking ownership of the journey toward achievement. It converts effort into measurable outcomes, uncertainty into clarity, and intention into action. Accountability is not a burden, it is a framework that transforms aspiration into reality, providing structure, insight, and motivation to sustain long-term success. By consistently monitoring advancement, reflecting on outcomes, and adjusting strategies, progress tracking ensures that every effort counts, every goal is pursued with purpose, and every step contributes to lasting achievement. Mastery of progress tracking creates a life where actions are deliberate, growth is visible, and results are inevitable. Each day becomes an opportunity to measure, evaluate, and refine. Each milestone strengthens discipline and motivation. Each completed task reinforces commitment and builds momentum. By embedding this practice into the rhythm of life, accountability becomes natural, progress becomes continuous, and success transforms from a distant aspiration into a lived reality. Number 6. Develop routines that boost productivity. Routines are the backbone of achievement. They transform intention into action, reduce friction in daily decision-making, and create a consistent structure in which goals can be pursued efficiently. Without routines, days are vulnerable to distraction, procrastination, and wasted energy. Developing routines that enhance productivity is a deliberate exercise in designing your life to maximize output, while preserving mental and physical energy. These routines act as scaffolding, supporting both immediate tasks and long-term objectives, and turning focus and discipline into automatic responses rather than continual struggles of willpower. The foundation of productive routines lies in understanding natural rhythms. Every individual has periods of peak mental clarity, creativity, and physical energy. By aligning demanding tasks with these natural highs, effort produces higher quality results with less strain. Conversely, lower energy periods can be reserved for administrative or repetitive work, ensuring that energy is allocated intelligently throughout the day. Recognizing and respecting these cycles prevents burnout, increases efficiency, and allows productivity to feel sustainable rather than exhausting. Start by examining current habits. Every day is already filled with routines, whether intentional or not. Identifying which behaviors support goals and which hinder progress is crucial. Ineffective patterns, such as frequent digital distractions, unstructured work sessions, or inconsistent sleep, can sap focus and energy. Replacing these with purposeful actions establishes a framework where productivity is the default. Small adjustments in morning preparation, workflow organization, and time allocation can compound into substantial improvements in efficiency over weeks and months. Morning routines are particularly influential because they set the tone for the entire day. Starting with structured practices such as exercise, reflection, goal review, or focused work anchors the mind in clarity and purpose. These early actions create momentum, reinforce discipline, and prevent the day from being hijacked by reactive demands. Even brief routines executed consistently produce a psychological signal that the day has begun with intentionality, establishing a mindset primed for focus and achievement. Equally important is the evening routine, which prepares both mind and body for restorative rest. Productivity is not merely the sum of waking hours, it is amplified by quality sleep, reflection, and mental organization. A disciplined night routine reviewing accomplishments, planning the next day, and disconnecting from distractions ensures that energy levels are restored and priorities are clear. By closing the day with structure, the mind transitions into a state conducive to renewal and preparation for another productive cycle. Routines extend beyond the beginning and end of the day. They structure every segment of work and focus. Time blocking, combined with habitual sequences, creates predictable patterns that minimize decision fatigue. When tasks follow a consistent order, the mind no longer expends energy deciding what to do next. This automation frees cognitive resources for deeper thinking, creativity, and problem solving. Productivity is amplified when routines reduce the mental load of repetitive choices, allowing sustained attention on high-impact work. Intentional micro-routines further enhance efficiency. Small repeated sequences, like reviewing a task list before starting a session, organizing the workspace, or performing brief preparatory exercises, prime the mind for performance. These rituals act as cues that signal focus is required and reinforce consistency. When repeated over time, they become automatic triggers, producing high levels of engagement with minimal conscious effort. The compounding effect of these micro-routines strengthens productivity across all areas of life. Routines also protect against distractions. When the mind knows what comes next, the tendency to wander or procrastinate diminishes. Clear patterns, such as designated work sessions, break times, and periods for reflection, structure the environment to favor progress. Interruptions are less likely to derail productivity when daily rhythms are predictable and the mind anticipates each phase of work. Consistency in routine creates a mental framework where focus becomes habitual rather than exceptional. Integration of habits that support both physical and mental energy is essential. Nutrition, hydration, movement, and rest directly influence the effectiveness of routines. Productive routines are not limited to work alone. They include practices that sustain energy and prevent depletion. Exercise, stretching, mindfulness, and healthy eating are all components that maintain performance, ensuring that productivity is both high and sustainable. Neglecting these elements undermines routine efficacy and creates vulnerability to fatigue and distraction. Routines should be flexible enough to adapt to changing circumstances without sacrificing discipline. Life is unpredictable, and rigid structures that cannot accommodate variation often fail. Effective routines include buffer periods, contingency planning, and the ability to reorganize priorities dynamically. This adaptability prevents disruption from turning into stagnation, maintaining momentum even when external factors interfere with the plan. Flexibility within a consistent framework allows routines to remain robust, productive, and aligned with long-term objectives. Long-term routines are most effective when aligned with personal goals and values. Every repeated action should reinforce growth, skill development, or progress toward meaningful outcomes. Arbitrary routines may create activity, but not accomplishment. Productivity-focused routines intentionally cultivate habits that accelerate results, reinforce discipline, and produce tangible achievements. Each action, repeated consistently, compounds into measurable advancement, making the routines themselves a vehicle for long-term success. Measurement and reflection are crucial to sustaining productive routines. Regularly reviewing what is working and what is not ensures that routines remain optimized and relevant. Tracking completion, assessing energy expenditure, and evaluating outcomes allows refinement and evolution of habits. This reflective process transforms routines from static patterns into living systems that adapt to evolving goals and circumstances, ensuring continual improvement. Routines also enhance mental resilience. Predictable structures provide a sense of control amidst chaos, reducing stress and increasing focus. Knowing what comes next allows the mind to operate efficiently without constant recalibration. This stability reinforces discipline, sharpens attention, and reduces the emotional burden associated with decision-making. In essence, routines create a framework for consistency, reliability, and sustained performance under pressure. The social and environmental context further supports productive routines. Aligning surroundings and relationships with habitual patterns minimizes friction and enhances execution. Workspaces designed to support focus, clear boundaries with colleagues or family, and communication of schedules reinforce consistency. Routines are strengthened when the external environment complements internal habits, creating a synergy that enhances productivity. Developing routines is a gradual process, requiring patience and repetition. The human mind is resistant to abrupt change. Consistency over time embeds habits deeply. Starting with small, achievable actions and gradually layering complexity ensures routines are sustainable. Each completed cycle reinforces behavior, building a resilient system that supports high levels of performance. Persistence and incremental improvement transform routines from optional structures into automatic mechanisms for productivity. The psychological impact of routines cannot be underestimated. They reduce anxiety by providing certainty, enhance motivation by creating visible progress, and strengthen self-discipline through repeated practice. Each repeated action reinforces identity, shaping the self-perception of being capable, organized, and effective. Over time, routines cultivate a mindset where productivity is habitual, not aspirational, and where achievement flows naturally from structured behavior. Ultimately, routines that boost productivity create a life where effort, energy, and focus are optimized. They transform scattered intention into sustained execution, reduce wasted energy, and provide a reliable framework for achieving both short-term and long-term goals. Productivity is no longer dependent on willpower alone, but is embedded into the rhythm of daily life. By designing, refining, and committing to deliberate routines, every day becomes a structured opportunity for progress, mastery, and meaningful accomplishment. Through consistent practice, routines evolve from conscious effort into automatic systems that support achievement at every level. They turn intention into reality, energy into results, and potential into measurable success. Productivity becomes a natural byproduct of structured habits, and the individual gains not only efficiency but clarity, resilience, and the ability to navigate complexity with confidence. Well-crafted routines do not merely organize time, they create the environment in which excellence becomes inevitable, and sustained success emerges from deliberate, repeated action. Number 7. Guard your energy with boundaries. Energy is the currency of productivity and success. Every thought, decision, and action draws from it, yet few people treat it with the same reverence as money, time, or skill. Guarding your energy through deliberate boundaries is not a sign of selfishness. It is a strategic choice that preserves focus, enhances performance, and protects mental and emotional well-being. Without these safeguards, attention is fragmented, motivation erodes, and progress toward meaningful goals slows. Boundaries create a protective framework that ensures energy is invested where it produces the greatest return. The first step in energy management is awareness. Recognizing how energy fluctuates throughout the day and understanding what depletes it allows for intentional action. Certain activities drain mental clarity, such as unnecessary meetings, unproductive conversations, or repeated exposure to negativity. Others, like focused work, reflection, and skill development, restore or amplify energy. By observing these patterns, it becomes possible to make deliberate choices that conserve and channel energy toward high-value outcomes rather than dispersing it indiscriminately. Setting boundaries begins with defining priorities. Energy should be reserved for tasks, relationships, and projects that align with long-term goals. Every yes to an external demand is implicitly a no to something more important. Clarifying what is essential provides the framework for filtering requests, invitations, and distractions. Prioritization ensures that energy is invested where it will yield the greatest impact, avoiding the gradual depletion caused by spreading oneself too thin across low-value obligations. Boundaries are reinforced through time management. Allocating specific periods for deep work, rest, reflection, and personal growth prevents energy from being consumed by reactive tasks. Time, once lost, cannot be recovered, and when attention is constantly divided, energy diminishes rapidly. Scheduling focused periods, coupled with clear signals to oneself and others that these periods are inviolable, preserves the mental space needed for high-quality performance. These temporal boundaries create a buffer against exhaustion and distraction. Guarding energy also requires discernment in social interactions. People, even unintentionally, can drain mental and emotional resources through negativity, demands, or excessive attention-seeking. Learning to navigate relationships with conscious boundaries by limiting engagement with energy-draining individuals, setting clear expectations, and creating space for meaningful interactions prevents emotional depletion. Boundaries in social contexts are essential to maintaining clarity, emotional resilience, and sustained productivity. Digital environments are another area where energy is frequently compromised. Notifications, news feeds, social media, and constant messaging fragment attention and exhaust cognitive resources. Conscious limits on digital consumption, designated periods for communication, and selective engagement with technology reset focus. By controlling digital inputs rather than allowing them to dictate behavior, energy is preserved for actions that produce tangible results and contribute to personal growth. Physical well-being directly influences mental energy, making self-care a critical boundary. Adequate sleep, regular exercise, and proper nutrition provide the foundation for sustained performance. Neglecting these areas diminishes resilience, focus, and motivation, making every task more taxing. Establishing routines that prioritize health is a boundary against preventable depletion, ensuring that energy reserves are replenished and ready to support both immediate demands and long-term goals. Boundaries also involve emotional regulation. High stress reactions, constant worry, and unnecessary rumination drain energy silently but profoundly. Techniques such as mindfulness, meditation, reflection, and deliberate mental framing create a protective barrier against emotional exhaustion. By managing internal states and limiting energy loss to reactive emotional patterns, attention and motivation are preserved for constructive action. Emotional boundaries are as critical as temporal or social ones in maintaining consistent performance. Saying no is a central practice in energy management. It is a tool that creates space for essential priorities and prevents dilution of focus. Each refusal, when guided by clear principles and self-awareness, protects energy from being diverted toward non-essential demands. Learning to decline respectfully but firmly is both a psychological and practical skill, reinforcing personal discipline while signaling to others that your time and energy are finite and must be respected. Strategic delegation further reinforces energy boundaries. Not every task requires personal attention. Some responsibilities can be transferred without compromising outcomes. Delegation preserves energy for high-leverage actions, while empowering others to contribute effectively. It is not avoidance, but a deliberate allocation of resources, ensuring that energy is expended where it creates the most meaningful impact. Boundaries also shape cognitive focus, limiting multitasking, creating dedicated spaces for specific work, and using rituals to signal shifts between tasks prevent cognitive overload. Mental energy is finite, and without protective measures, it dissipates across competing demands. Structuring work and rest, clearly separating tasks and creating predictable patterns, optimize mental clarity and concentration, allowing high-quality output to be sustained over long periods. Financial and material boundaries can influence energy indirectly. Worries about resources, disorganization, or chaotic environments consume mental bandwidth that could otherwise be applied to productive work. Creating order, budgeting time and money, and structuring systems reduces hidden drains on energy, freeing attention for higher priority tasks. Discipline in these areas translates directly into mental and emotional capacity for meaningful achievement. Reflection and periodic review are critical to maintaining energy boundaries. Life circumstances, responsibilities, and energy demands evolve, and boundaries must adapt accordingly. Regular assessment ensures that protective measures remain effective, identifying emerging drains and reinforcing strategies that preserve focus and vitality. Continuous evaluation transforms boundary setting from a static rule into a dynamic practice that evolves with personal and professional growth. Boundaries also cultivate respect, both for oneself and from others. When energy is consciously managed and protected, it signals self-awareness, discipline, and purpose. This encourages external respect for your time and presence, reducing the frequency of unnecessary demands and interruptions. Clear boundaries create a structured environment in which priorities are honored and contributions are optimized. Resilience is strengthened through energy preservation. When resources are managed deliberately, challenges are met with greater clarity, endurance, and composure. Energy boundaries allow for recovery from setbacks, reducing the likelihood of burnout and fostering sustained commitment to long-term objectives. A disciplined approach to energy management ensures that both physical and mental reserves are available when most needed, enhancing performance and decision-making under pressure. Guarding energy transforms productivity from sporadic bursts into sustained, reliable effort. By implementing temporal, social, emotional, digital, and physical boundaries, every action becomes deliberate, focused, and high value. Energy is the fuel of achievement, and without protection, even the most talented individuals struggle to maintain momentum. Boundaries convert potential into actionable power, allowing goals to be pursued with clarity, resilience, and consistency. In essence, energy management through boundaries is a practice of strategic self-respect. It recognizes limits, prioritizes what matters, and creates conditions for sustained growth and success. Every boundary established is a step toward more deliberate, focused, and meaningful action. By actively guarding energy, the mind remains sharp, motivation remains high, and effort is concentrated on the pursuits that shape both personal mastery and long-term achievement. Mastering energy boundaries turns everyday life into a framework for consistent performance. It reduces unnecessary depletion, safeguards focus, and amplifies the impact of deliberate effort. Individuals who protect their energy are not only more productive but more resilient, more creative, and better equipped to achieve ambitious goals. By embedding boundaries across every domain, time, social interaction, digital engagement, physical well-being, and emotional regulation, energy becomes a controlled, renewable resource, driving sustained success and a life defined by intentional action rather than reactive survival. Number 8. Invest time in growth skills. The most successful individuals understand a principle that is deceptively simple yet profoundly transformative: the value of investing time in developing skills. Talent and natural ability are limited assets. They can open doors, but sustained growth, achievement, and adaptability come from consistent skill acquisition. Every hour spent learning, practicing, and refining a skill compounds over time, producing advantages that multiply across both professional and personal domains. Investing in growth skills is not optional. It is a deliberate strategy to increase capability, opportunity, and long-term success. The first step is clarity in choosing which skills to develop. Not all skills yield equal impact. Some produce immediate, visible results, while others create long-term leverage. Selecting areas that align with goals, market demands, and personal strengths ensures that effort is directed effectively. High-impact skills are those that increase value, adaptability, and problem-solving ability. These may include technical expertise, communication, leadership, analytical thinking, or emotional intelligence. Deliberately choosing growth skills prevents wasted effort and ensures that time invested returns meaningful dividends. Learning is most effective when approached deliberately. Passive exposure, reading casually, attending occasional seminars, or consuming random content rarely produces mastery. Intentional practice, structured study, and active application are required. Breaking down complex skills into components, practicing each consistently, and integrating them into real-world scenarios transforms knowledge into competence. The brain responds to repeated, focused engagement, and skills grow exponentially when nurtured with discipline and purpose. Time management is essential when investing in skill development. Skills require consistent attention over extended periods. Allocating specific, dedicated blocks of time ensures that learning is not interrupted by competing demands or reactive distractions. Daily or weekly practice, even in small increments, compounds into substantial growth over months and years. By embedding skill building into a structured routine, learning becomes a predictable, habitual, and non-negotiable component of personal development. Growth skills are reinforced by feedback and reflection. Without insight into performance, improvement is slow and inefficient. Seeking critique from mentors, coaches, peers, or objective metrics allows gaps to be identified and adjustments to be made. Reflection consolidates learning, converts mistakes into lessons, and accelerates mastery. Every skill developed becomes sharper, more precise, and more applicable when progress is monitored and reinforced through deliberate evaluation. Application is as critical as acquisition. Skills without implementation remain theoretical and often fail to produce value. Integrating learned skills into daily work, creative projects, or personal endeavors reinforces retention and demonstrates tangible results. Repeated application transforms knowledge into instinctive ability, creating confidence and competence. The process of practicing, testing, and refining skills in real contexts ensures that growth is not abstract but concrete and measurable. Investing in growth skills also requires patience and persistence. Mastery rarely comes quickly. The most meaningful abilities develop over sustained periods of focused effort. Small, consistent steps accumulate into expertise, and resilience through the inevitable challenges of learning is essential. Embracing the process rather than focusing solely on outcomes strengthens discipline and fosters a mindset oriented toward continuous improvement. Diversity in skill development magnifies impact. Cultivating complementary abilities, such as combining technical skills with communication, leadership with analytical thinking, or creativity with discipline, enhances adaptability and problem-solving capacity. Broadening skill sets increases versatility, allowing challenges to be approached from multiple angles and opportunities to be seized that might otherwise go unnoticed. Strategic investment in a range of growth skills ensures both depth and breadth of capability. Resource selection matters. Learning can be accelerated by choosing high-quality materials, mentors, and environments conducive to growth. Books, courses, workshops, and real-world projects all provide avenues for skill acquisition. The efficiency of learning is amplified when guidance, structure, and expertise are leveraged. Investing in resources, even when it requires effort or cost, is a direct investment in competence that pays exponential returns over time. Mindset is integral to skill growth. Approaching learning with curiosity, openness to failure, and a willingness to challenge comfort zones maximizes results. Skills develop fastest when mistakes are treated as feedback, not as judgment, and when persistence outweighs discouragement. A growth-oriented mindset transforms challenges into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and effort into tangible progress. Time invested becomes exponentially more valuable when guided by resilient, adaptive thinking. Prioritization enhances skill investment. Time and energy are finite, and not every learning opportunity will contribute equally to goals. Identifying high-leverage skills, focusing on mastery before expansion, and aligning practice with strategic objectives ensures that effort produces maximum benefit. Prioritizing wisely prevents dilution of focus and accelerates the trajectory of personal and professional growth. Collaboration strengthens skill development. Engaging with peers, mentors, or communities accelerates learning by exposing individuals to diverse perspectives, strategies, and experiences. Discussion, critique, and cooperative problem-solving enhance understanding and deepen capability. Shared learning also reinforces accountability, maintaining commitment to consistent practice and improvement. Growth skills flourish in environments where knowledge is exchanged and challenged. Tracking progress in skill acquisition is critical. Measuring improvement through milestones, benchmarks, or performance metrics provides clarity and motivation. Without evidence of advancement, it is difficult to maintain focus and gauge effectiveness. Tracking progress ensures that time invested is producing tangible results, and it allows strategies to be adjusted when plateaus or inefficiencies arise. Accountability to oneself becomes a driver of continual development. Integration of new skills into long-term goals multiplies value. Acquired abilities become tools that increase influence, efficiency, and adaptability. Each skill strengthens problem-solving capacity, decision-making, and resilience. Over time, the accumulation of diverse, high-impact skills transforms potential into measurable outcomes, opening doors to opportunities that were previously unattainable. Strategic investment ensures that every effort contributes to a broader trajectory of success. Self-discipline underpins all sustained skill development. Without consistent commitment, time invested dissipates into sporadic, unproductive effort. Establishing routines, adhering to practice schedules, and maintaining focus even when motivation falters is essential. Discipline converts intention into action, ensuring that growth is continuous and incremental gains are realized over months and years. Skill investment also enhances adaptability. In a rapidly changing world, the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn becomes a competitive advantage. Continuous development ensures that new challenges are met with competence, creativity, and confidence. Energy directed toward growth creates a reservoir of capability that can be applied across diverse contexts, increasing both resilience and opportunity. Finally, investing time in growth skills shapes identity. Repeated practice, learning, and application cultivate competence, confidence, and self-efficacy. Individuals who commit to development internalize a sense of capability and control over outcomes. The compound effect of deliberate skill building transforms not only what one can do, but also how one approaches challenges, opportunities, and life itself. By prioritizing skill development, energy, focus, and time are invested in creating tangible advantages that compound over time. Each hour spent learning becomes a step toward mastery. Every practice session strengthens capability, and every applied skill produces measurable impact. Investing in growth skills is not an occasional task. It is a continuous commitment to becoming more effective, adaptable, and capable. Through deliberate, consistent effort, individuals create a foundation for sustained achievement, resilience, and meaningful success that expands far beyond the immediate moment. Number 9. Reflect nightly to refine habits. The most successful individuals understand that growth is rarely accidental. It is the product of deliberate reflection and refinement. Daily actions, if left unchecked, can become mechanical patterns that produce minimal progress. Nightly reflection is a powerful practice that transforms ordinary routines into purposeful habits. By reviewing the day with honesty and insight, it is possible to identify successes, uncover areas for improvement, and recalibrate behaviors for greater effectiveness. Reflection is not merely thinking about what happened. It is an intentional dialogue with oneself that converts experience into learning and action. To begin, nightly reflection requires creating a dedicated moment of focus. The end of the day provides an opportunity to disengage from external demands and examine personal performance. This pause allows the mind to shift from reactive mode to analytical mode, observing actions, decisions, and outcomes with clarity. A consistent reflection practice ensures that learning is continuous and habits evolve toward alignment with long-term goals. Without such deliberate review, patterns of behavior may persist unexamined, limiting growth and potential. Effective reflection begins with an honest assessment of the day's accomplishments. What was achieved? Which tasks were completed as intended, and which fell short? Recognizing achievements reinforces confidence and motivation, highlighting what works and what can be repeated. Success, even in small increments, deserves acknowledgement because it strengthens the habit of deliberate action. Celebrating progress provides psychological reinforcement, making it more likely that productive behaviors are maintained and repeated over time. Equally important is identifying areas where improvement is needed. Nightly reflection provides a safe space to examine mistakes, inefficiencies, or lapses in discipline without judgment. By understanding why certain actions were ineffective or counterproductive, it becomes possible to make adjustments that enhance performance. This process transforms failures into opportunities for growth, shifting perspective from frustration to constructive learning. The mind becomes a laboratory for experimentation, where every choice is analyzed for insight rather than weighed with regret. Reflection is most effective when it is structured and intentional. Questions like, did I align my actions with my priorities today? Or where did I waste energy or focus unnecessarily? Help guide thought toward actionable insight. A systematic approach prevents reflection from being vague or superficial. Documenting observations, either in a journal or digital log, allows trends to be tracked over time, revealing persistent patterns, recurring challenges, and incremental improvements. The act of writing crystallizes thoughts and strengthens self-awareness. Nightly reflection also fosters accountability. By reviewing daily choices and behaviors, it becomes easier to recognize whether commitments to goals and values were upheld. This personal accountability encourages discipline, making it less likely for ineffective habits to persist. When actions are regularly evaluated, complacency is replaced by deliberate attention, ensuring that each day contributes meaningfully to growth. Self-monitoring creates a feedback loop that reinforces consistency, precision, and purpose. Another critical aspect of reflection is examining emotional and mental states. How did stress, distraction, or fatigue influence performance? Understanding the interplay between mood, energy, and behavior provides insight into patterns that impact productivity and well-being. Reflection allows for strategies to be developed that mitigate negative influences, preserve focus, and optimize energy. Emotional self-awareness ensures that habits are not only effective but sustainable, supporting long-term resilience and performance. Reflection at night also strengthens decision-making for future actions. By analyzing what went well and what did not, it is possible to plan subsequent days with greater clarity and efficiency. Choices become informed by experience rather than impulse, allowing for more strategic allocation of time, energy, and attention. Each reflection session becomes a bridge between past action and future improvement, transforming daily life into an iterative process of refinement. The practice also encourages intentional habit formation. By consistently identifying which behaviors support goals and which hinder them, it becomes easier to cultivate productive routines and eliminate detrimental ones. Reflection provides insight into subtle patterns like procrastination triggers, energy drains, or repeated distractions that might otherwise go unnoticed. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Understanding habits allows them to be consciously shaped rather than unconsciously followed. Nightly reflection nurtures mental clarity and emotional equilibrium. By taking time to process events, release residual tension, and organize thoughts, the mind enters a state of calm and readiness for rest. This mental closure not only enhances sleep quality, but also prepares the brain for improved focus and decision-making. The following day, reflection integrates learning with relaxation, ensuring that productivity is maintained without sacrificing well-being. Incorporating gratitude into nightly reflection amplifies its effectiveness. Recognizing moments of progress, acts of kindness, or lessons learned fosters a positive mindset and reinforces motivation. Gratitude encourages resilience by highlighting growth and achievement rather than dwelling solely on setbacks. When reflection combines evaluation with appreciation, it strengthens both discipline and emotional balance, creating a holistic approach to personal development. Reflection also supports adaptability. Life is dynamic, and circumstances change. By reviewing actions and outcomes nightly, it becomes possible to adjust strategies, reprioritize goals, and reallocate energy based on real-world results. This ongoing calibration ensures that habits remain aligned with evolving objectives, preventing stagnation and promoting continuous improvement. Nightly reflection is a dynamic tool, transforming experience into actionable insight rather than allowing routines to ossify. Accountability partners, mentors, or communities can enhance nightly reflection. Sharing insights or discussing challenges adds perspective, reinforces commitment, and introduces alternative strategies. While reflection is deeply personal, input from trusted sources can accelerate learning, validate observations, and provide constructive critique. Collaboration in reflection strengthens both awareness and action, producing more robust growth than solitary contemplation alone. Reflection also develops self-discipline by emphasizing the connection between action and outcome. When the consequences of daily choices are observed and analyzed, it becomes easier to resist impulses that undermine goals. The mind internalizes cause and effect patterns, making adherence to productive habits more intuitive. Each night's evaluation reinforces the principle that sustained effort and deliberate choices directly influence long-term success. Long-term nightly reflection produces cumulative advantages, patterns of improvement, refined routines, and enhanced self-awareness compound over weeks, months, and years. Small adjustments based on reflection, repeated consistently, lead to substantial gains in efficiency, focus, and achievement. Reflection turns ordinary days into a structured learning process, ensuring that personal growth is deliberate, measurable, and ongoing. Ultimately, reflecting nightly transforms habits into instruments of intentional progress. It creates clarity about what works, identifies areas for adjustment, and strengthens the alignment between actions and aspirations. By dedicating time to honest evaluation, documenting insights, and planning adjustments, each day becomes both a learning opportunity and a stepping stone toward mastery. The practice fosters discipline, self-awareness, and resilience, ensuring that every effort contributes meaningfully to long-term objectives. Nightly reflection turns the passage of time into a tool rather than a challenge. It converts routines into deliberate actions, mistakes into lessons, and consistency into momentum. By embedding this practice into daily life, habits evolve with purpose, energy is directed efficiently, and personal growth becomes inevitable. Reflection is not a passive exercise. It is a transformative process that converts experience into actionable insight, shaping behavior, mindset, and outcomes for sustained success. Number 10. Use spare moments for learning. Time is a resource that cannot be replenished, yet most of it slips away unnoticed. The small pockets of opportunity scattered throughout a day, waiting in line, commuting, or taking a brief pause between tasks, are often dismissed as inconsequential. Yet, these seemingly insignificant moments can become catalysts for growth when intentionally harnessed for learning. Using spare moments for education transforms idle intervals into productive, skill-building experiences, creating cumulative advantages that compound over weeks, months, and years. The first principle is awareness. Recognizing that every fragment of time has potential is essential. Most people underestimate how much spare time exists in their daily routines. Even 5 or 10 minutes, repeated multiple times a day, can amount to hours over a week. Treating these intervals as opportunities rather than interruptions shifts mindset from passive consumption to active cultivation. Awareness transforms idle waiting into purposeful action, and even brief engagement with learning materials produces measurable growth. Intentionality drives effective use of spare moments. Simply having time does not guarantee learning. It must be directed with focus and purpose. Identifying specific topics, skills, or knowledge areas to engage with ensures that every minute is spent advancing goals rather than skimming randomly. Whether it is reading, listening to an audiobook, practicing a language, or reviewing notes, purposeful engagement converts micro-moments into meaningful progress. Intentionality creates efficiency, ensuring that the smallest intervals of time are leveraged strategically. Technology provides a unique opportunity to access learning instantly. Smartphones, tablets, and e-readers allow micro-learning during brief pauses. Apps, podcasts, online courses, and digital libraries make education portable and accessible, allowing knowledge acquisition even in environments previously considered unsuitable. Leveraging technology responsibly converts moments that would otherwise be idle into structured growth opportunities, transforming the rhythm of daily life into a continuous learning cycle. Prioritization is critical in selecting what to learn during spare moments. Not all information is equally valuable, and attempting to absorb too much at once dilutes effectiveness. Focusing on high-leverage topics, those that directly enhance skills, knowledge, or personal growth, maximizes the return on time invested. By curating content strategically, even brief engagements contribute meaningfully to long-term development. Each small learning session accumulates, producing depth and competence that may be invisible day to day, but substantial over months and years. Micro-learning is particularly effective in these brief periods. Breaking complex concepts into bite-sized, digestible segments allows engagement without overwhelming attention. Conceptual understanding, vocabulary acquisition, problem-solving techniques, and procedural knowledge can all be advanced in small increments. This approach ensures that even limited time is transformed into tangible cognitive gains, reinforcing knowledge gradually yet consistently. The cumulative effect of repeated micro-learning sessions is exponential. Reflection strengthens the impact of spare moment learning. After consuming content or practicing a skill, taking a brief moment to internalize, summarize, or apply what was learned consolidates understanding. Mental rehearsal, quick journaling, or verbal review ensures that knowledge transitions from passive exposure to active comprehension. These reflective moments anchor new information, improving retention and translating learning into actionable insight. Combining learning with physical movement amplifies both retention and engagement. Listening to educational material during a walk, doing mental exercises while stretching, or reviewing notes in a different environment stimulates the brain and enhances focus. Physical context reinforces attention and creates a multi-sensory experience, improving memory and comprehension. Using spare moments to integrate learning into daily activity enhances both efficiency and effectiveness. Consistency is key. Occasional use of spare moments produces sporadic gains, but regular engagement produces compounding results. Treating micro-learning as habitual rather than incidental ensures that knowledge and skill growth become predictable and continuous. Daily accumulation, even in small increments, transforms fleeting moments into a sustained trajectory of improvement, turning ordinary routines into a structured framework for personal advancement. Flexibility allows for adaptation to varying circumstances. Not all spare moments are equal. Some are quiet and conducive to reading or reflection, while others are active or social. Adapting learning methods to the environment ensures engagement remains effective without causing disruption. Audiobooks, podcasts, flashcards, mental exercises, or reflective thought can all be applied depending on context, ensuring that even unconventional situations become opportunities for growth. Integration with long-term goals maximizes the value of these moments. Learning that directly aligns with career development, personal ambitions, or skill mastery compounds effectiveness. For instance, practicing language skills during commuting not only fills idle time, but also advances fluency toward a tangible objective. This strategic alignment ensures that spare moments contribute directly to meaningful progress rather than scattered or superficial gains. Tracking progress enhances motivation and accountability. Even brief learning sessions produce more impact when measured and reviewed. Recording insights, milestones, or the completion of micro-learning modules reinforces engagement and creates a feedback loop. Over time, visible accumulation of knowledge provides tangible evidence that small, consistent efforts lead to substantial achievement, strengthening commitment and sustaining momentum. Curiosity drives engagement during these brief periods, treating each spare moment as a chance to explore, question, or investigate cultivates intrinsic motivation. The brain responds positively to novel and stimulating experiences, enhancing absorption and retention of new information. Approaching micro-learning with curiosity transforms routine intervals into intellectually enriching experiences, sustaining both attention and enthusiasm over time. The psychological impact is profound. Viewing spare moments as opportunities reinforces agency and control over one's personal growth. It eliminates the sense that progress is dependent on large blocks of time or perfect conditions, creating a mindset where learning is continuous, adaptive, and resilient. Even when life is busy or unpredictable, these micro-investments ensure that personal and professional development never stalls. Application is essential. Knowledge gained in short intervals becomes meaningful only when tested or integrated into real-life contexts. Applying concepts, practicing skills, or experimenting with new strategies immediately after learning ensures that insights are not transient but functional. This approach turns micro-learning into practical competence rather than passive awareness, ensuring that growth translates into tangible results. Persistence transforms these small efforts into exponential outcomes. While the impact of a single 5-minute session may seem negligible, repeated consistently, these micro-investments accumulate into substantial expertise, confidence, and capability. Over months and years, the aggregate effect can surpass that of sporadic, intensive learning sessions, highlighting the power of disciplined, incremental engagement. Mindset enhances the effectiveness of spare moment learning. Viewing every moment as a potential step toward mastery rather than a distraction or inconvenience fosters a proactive, growth-oriented mentality. Each interval becomes purposeful, reinforcing a habit of continuous improvement and turning life itself into a classroom. This approach cultivates resilience, adaptability, and a lifelong commitment to personal development. Finally, using spare moments for learning creates a life where growth is constant and intentional. Knowledge and skills accumulate silently yet powerfully, compounding across personal and professional domains. Every idle interval becomes a stepping stone toward mastery, efficiency, and competence. Through deliberate awareness, purposeful action, and consistent application, spare moments cease to be wasted. They become transformative opportunities that shape capability, perspective, and long-term success. Harnessing the fragments of time scattered throughout a day transforms ordinary routines into a continuous journey of growth. The practice cultivates discipline, curiosity, and adaptability, ensuring that development is not constrained by schedules or circumstance. By using spare moments strategically, every day becomes fertile ground for learning, every pause an opportunity to advance, and every micro-investment a building block toward lasting achievement, expertise, and personal mastery.